All right, it's about to be 7 o'clock. I think I have fixed it so that I am live on YouTube, but of course, I have some people in my Zoom room. I'm assuming other people will show up because I know that's how it usually works. But hopefully, everybody can see. Let me make sure. It's always a little bit of a struggle. I don't know why. It's just never easy. Tis never easy. All right, let's see. Can YouTube see my screen? There it is. Woohoo! All right, so I know YouTube can see my screen. I know I've got some people in the Zoom. I noticed on Friday or Sunday during the Super Bowl, we had people show up a little late, so we'll just assume that's what's going to happen, and we're going to move forward. Now, I will be completely honest with you all. I always am, and we all know I have a touch of the ADHD. So the last couple of days since Sunday, I was supposed to finish making these questions, like reformatting them so they're pretty. But instead, drum roll, I finished my Reddit story and my new real estate song. It's AI. It's not me singing. Don't worry. It's completely AI. But I put that up on YouTube. I did the captions. And so our questions aren't pretty. You all will have to forgive me. I mean, I could cancel, but I don't think you want to do that. So just work with me. You're seeing how the questions come before I format them. I am so sorry. But I did finish the song and the Reddit story, and I've got another song and another Reddit story coming. So, you know, focus someplace else. All right. So if you forgive me, let's work on number 41. Oh, let me turn off my phone so it doesn't ring. Question 41. A property generates 36,000 in annual net operating income. Using a capitalization rate of 8%, what's the property's value? This is a good question and one that's going to pop up or happen for a lot of people. And I know some of my students in my current class, we haven't talked about this. This is valuation, what we're going to be talking about tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. So we're talking about appraisals. If you're seeing this net operating income, this capitalization rate, what we want to know, let's kind of give you a preview. An appraiser goes in to give an appraisal, and there's three different ways an appraiser can come up with value. They can do the sales comparison approach. That's where they choose other similar properties and they go, hey, if this property was X and my property is similar, then my property should sell for X. Right? There's the cost approach, which basically is an appraiser looks at a property and says, this thing is so unique. I can't find other properties that are going to be similar price wise. So let me figure this out. And then there's going to be the income approach. And the income approach basically says, look, I can spell approach. This property, I'm getting this property because it makes money. Like if you had an apartment complex, yes, there's residential spaces in it, but you are buying the property because all these people are going to pay you money and then there's income coming in. So the value comes from incoming income. I mean, incoming income seems like a really weird way to put that, but you get it. And there is a formula for this. The formula for this, do I have more space? No. I mean, I just really lost it on the don't be ADHD here thing here, Candace. For the income approach, you're going to know that if you take the net operating income and you divide it by the cap rate, this will give you, slide it over a little bit, value. So let's define what each of those things is. Net operating income is your income after, keyword after, you take out vacancies and operating expenses. So think of it this way. If I said, hey, I have this and this, oh, I usually use a lemonade stand. If I, as a grown person, decided to start a lemonade stand and I spent $50 on supplies, I had a very successful lemonade stand, but I only made, I say only, I made $75 in sales. $75 is my income, but I would have to take out the fact that I used $50 to get supplies. So that'd be like your operating expenses. Really, my income at the end of the day is like $25. That's what I mean when I say, hey, net operating income, just like when you get your paycheck, if you're on salary, you've got your gross salary, and then they take all the stuff out. And then what your check says or what ends up in your bank account is your net. That is your net operating income, and it is always annual. So if you know the income you have coming in annually after expenses and you assume, there's going to be so many vacancies. If you divide that by your cap rate, and your cap rate is short for capitalization rate. And think of this as the rate of making money. Just assume, just go with it. Unless you go into commercial real estate, you don't really care about the details of a cap rate, but just know it's going to be a rate with a percentage. It's how we figure out how much money a property should bring in. So it's a whole thing. We're not going to go into it now. That's a lesson. But just know it's a rate. And if you take that rate and you divide that into the net operating income, you're going to get our value. Really and truly, this is not terrible problem. Hey, Juana, this is not a terrible problem if you know NOI divided by cap rate equals value. So let's apply that. If you get one of these on your test, you should be doing a little dance, because this is going to help. This is an easy one. We're going to take our NOI, we're going to divide it by our cap rate, and that's going to give us value. All right. Well, the property says it comes up with $36,000 a year in NOI, net operating income. And notice it's giving it to us annually, so we can just use that. There's a cap rate of 8%. So our answer will be the value. Where's my calculator? We're going to take our 36,000. We're going to divide it by 8%, and that gives us $450,000. Our answer is B. There we go. Now, I know I've had some people come in late, and you all are looking like, why are our answer keys so ugly? And I admitted I forgot to format it. I've had a lot going on. It's just going to have to be ugly, but the questions are still good. We'll just take the ugly formatting. Yep. All right, number 42. Which of the following is a voluntary specific lien? Which of the following is a voluntary specific lien? Is it A, a property tax lien, B, a mortgage lien, C, a judgment lien, or D, a federal income tax lien? Anybody got a clue? What do we got going on here? We're looking for the one that is voluntary and specific. We got voluntary and specific. Oh, hey, Caroline, I just saw you popped in. You were listening to my new song on YouTube. Caroline, did you like it? I hope you did. I hope you liked it. You loved it. Yay. Yay. I'm so glad you liked it. By I mean AI worked on it really hard, and I kind of engineered it in the background. All right, we got an answer of B on this one. So we've got somebody saying mortgage lien, mortgage lien. Do we like that answer? Well, let's take a look. So we know the answer is not going to be property tax lien because that is specific, meaning attaches to one property, but it's not voluntary. I didn't sign up to pay taxes. I mean, I would in theory. I mean, let's not test that one, but in theory, I would sign up to pay taxes. So it's not voluntary. It's involuntary. Well, a judgment lien is against a person. So that makes it a general lien. and it's involuntary. And then again, your federal income tax lien is a general lien. So yes, McDeal, you are correct. And Caroline, the answer is B. The answer is B. All right. Number 43. The lead-based paint disclosure is required for residential properties built before. Okay, I'm gonna need everybody to get this one right, because you already know this is going to be tested on your exam. We need to know that it's properties built before what year? All right, okay, I got my Zoom room. I see y'all getting the right answer. I see y'all, and it is, give everybody who's on YouTube a chance to answer too, although I know there's a delay, so that's fine. But it is clearly, the answer is 1978. Hmm. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. All right. I'm just wondering, are all of our answers B? No, there's a lot of them. Okay, I know when we were talking the other day, there were a lot of B. Let's do YouTube VR Zoom. Oh, the let's do YouTube versus Zoom. Oh, we don't have enough people today in the YouTube right now. We might have to do that on a Sunday. But I do want to do the YouTube versus Zoom group. Oh, that would be amazing. That would be so much fun. And some of y'all, I know Caroline, but I've mentioned it before. I've been perfecting my I say perfecting, I'm kind of getting it down. The idea of doing real estate exam vocab bingo. So I'll give you the definition. If you have that word definition on your bingo card, then you put your little chip there, and then if you get bingo, you win. So I am working on that. That has been interesting to try to figure that one out. But right, oh, you love that? Ah, right. I think that would be fun too. The thing was having enough cards for everybody to have something different and figuring out how to make AI do that. So that is coming. Real estate bingo night. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. 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 All right. You all knew the answer is very much B. It is 1978. You know you've got to give that lead-based paint addendum the disclosure. And you got to give them that little booklet, protect your family from lead in your home. Like there's lead-based dangers all in a house if it's built before 1978. Now, the older the home, the more likely you're going to have lead-based paint. Question 44. A buyer provides earnest money with an offer. This demonstrates A, legal capacity, B, consideration, C, lawful objective, and D, mutual assent. Mm-mm-mm. And we're going to go with the only answer that works, but you all know if you're my North Carolina student, I don't agree with this answer, but it's the only answer it could be. Do. We know that our essential elements of a deed, a contract, are going to be mutual agreement or mutual assent, consideration, legal capacity, lawful objective. So we know we have those, but what's our answer? Hmm. Hmm. Do we have a clue? All right, Miss Caroline, you're saying D. Hmm. Well, let's talk about it. So, legal capacity means in general, unless you're in California, then, or no, it's still 18 in California, but basically, are you over 18? Are you not high or drunk? Like, do you have the legal ability to bind yourself to it? So, hey, Maribel, and you said the answer is B. Okay. Maribel says the answer is B, and consideration is usually going to be money. It's the thing of value that is exchanged. We got lawful objective, which means, it's not illegal. And mutual agreement means that you have, an offer and an acceptance. So given these are our answer choices, because these are our answer choices, I'm going to go with B. However, If you are one of my students in my class, you know I would never say that is the answer. In fact, I know that our commission has given questions like this before, and the answer was not B. If you're in North Carolina, that answer is going to be liquidated damages. Why? Because we know damages, when somebody sues you, they're money damages. You can have punitive damages, you can have compensatory damages. There's all these types of when somebody gets in trouble, the judge looks at them and says, your punishment is to pay out some money. Why are you paying the money? That is, it just depends on what type. By definition, liquidated damages are when the two parties agree up front, hey, if I mess up, this is the amount you get. That is, by definition, liquidated damages. And our contract in North Carolina specifically says that earnest money is not consideration, it is liquidated damages. And so that's why a buyer gets it back if they close. Right? That's why. Given my answer choices, all day, every day consideration. But if this was somebody in North Carolina, I can say this without hesitation. This answer is liquidated damages. It's what they've told us. It's what the contract says. And if you're not in North Carolina, I would highly encourage you to get a copy of your contracts that could be used and just see what yours says. All right, let's move on. Number 45. Oof. Gotta say, I like it when I do these questions to make them neater. I have more space. 45. Zoning regulations are an exercise of which government power? Zoning regulations are an exercise of which government power? Is it A, eminent domain? Is it B, taxation? Is it C, police power? Or is it D, escheat? All right. Now, MacDeal, you came in there strong with a police power. So did Cavani. So did Caroline. All right. All right. We got that. We got police power. We know this is Pete. Powers of government, Pete. Police power, eminent domain, taxation, escheat. Zoning regulations. All right, I got lots of C's. Can I explain why it's C? I definitely can, because C is our answer. That is our answer. It is C, police power. And I love the fact that you asked that, Crystal. Let's talk about why it's C. We know, hey, Boogie's type, it's bougie type. Oh, and oh, yeah, we got C's. I see y'all. I know there's a little bit of delay on YouTube, but yep, C's the answer. So let's talk about why. We know eminent domain is not the answer, because eminent domain is the right of the government to take property for public use, but they do have to pay you fair market value. They do have to pay you fair market value, and they have to do it for the good of the public. That's not zoning regulations, because an eminent domain, they're taking your land. Now we know the power is eminent domain, the action is condemnation. B, taxation. Well, you know what taxes are. And taxes and zoning regulations are not the same, so it's not B. And the reason it's not D, escheat, is because we know escheat means if you die intestate, if you die without a will, intestate, and you have no heirs, your property does not sit there empty. Your property is going to go to the state, right? So that is what that means, and that's none of it. So by default, our answer has to be police power. Now, why is it police power? Because police power is the idea that the government can tell you how to use your land. Even though we own the land, the government, even though we get the ability to do all these things, they have the power to say, hey, it's going to be zoned this. They have the power to say, you know what? We have, subdivision regulations. The fact that you have to get permits, there's building codes. We call all of that police power because they're policing like the details of how you're using the land. So police power, eminent domain, taxation, and a sheet. We know that the answer is police power. One, because the others are most definitely not. And also because that is an example of police power. And Crystal, you said you emailed me some questions on chapter 6. I checked my email at 1 o'clock this afternoon. I haven't checked it since. So if you had did it this afternoon, I didn't see it yet. If you did it before, I don't remember seeing it. If you mailed me before, see, it was about 5. Yeah, I definitely have not checked my emails since 5. So we can go over them tomorrow. Tomorrow. Unless we run out of questions here. Okay. Unless there's like if you have one that you just really, really have, or if there's a topic you want me to explain and you don't want to wait, I will go over that. All right, let's go to number 46. Title insurance protects against what? Title insurance protects against. Now, if you are one of those people that's been studying and you say title insurance and you already know what it is very helpful sometimes, especially if you're one of those students. You're like, okay, I feel like I know the answer, but then when I get to the answer choices, I get confused. I can eliminate 2 and then I'm down to 2. Sometimes it helps to go ahead and answer the question yourself before you even answer the question. Like you look at the answer choices. So title insurance, what do I know about title insurance? Well, I know that it is purchased to cover the buyer so that if something happens and they lose the property because of title, then they're going to get, if need be, they would get their money, what they paid for the house back, right? All right. Actually, spoiler alert, the next Reddit story, which is in the works, I'm just doing the visuals for that, is on title. It's about somebody losing the title to their house. So depending on how focused I get, and by focused I mean manic on my ADHD, there's going to be a new Reddit story up sometime this weekend. But title insurance protects a borrower, from any title issues. In your state, it could be paid for by the buyer or the seller. In North Carolina, the buyer pays for it. In Michigan, I do believe the seller pays for it. So just know what it is for your state. But is it A, future defects in the property, in the title, B, physical damage to the property, C, defects in the title that existed before the policy date, or D, changes in the zoning laws? Well, I'm pretty sure you know it's not B or D. This would just be regular old home insurance. Right? Changes in the zoning laws, good luck getting a policy for that. That's not it. So what's the difference between A and C? This would probably be when people are getting ready to test where you all got it down to 2. And even if you know the answer, those details, making yourself figure out what the difference is between the 2, that's a skill that you can apply for when you don't know which one it is. There's always got to be a difference between these. This one says future defects. So does title insurance protect you from something you do to the title yourself? Like if you own the house for 6 years and then there's a mechanic's lien on your property because you chose not to pay the person, is that covered under title insurance? Absolutely not. Making our answer D, defects in the title that existed before the policy date. And remember, no matter who's paying for the title insurance, they're actually getting 2 policies, one for the borrower and one for the lender. One for the lender. And the lender's policy is going to get smaller and smaller as you pay down that loan. And eventually it'll only be the buyer. All right. And again, ask questions if you have them. Really excited for my song. Y'all, I'm dreaming about that real estate song in my head. Like in my dream, it was like the soundtrack on repeat. But I thought, whichever. 47. Which type of estate automatically renews for successive periods until terminated by proper notice? Which type of estate automatically renews for successive periods until terminated by proper notice? The word that should be screaming out at you, it should be like, woo, woo, danger, Will Robinson, danger, Will Robinson, should be automatically. Automatically. That should be the key. Any question, if you see all, none, not, automatically, never, any of those words that like really have a hard line, you should be worried. You should be worried when you see it. So, which of our estates? Now, by the way, this is talking about non-freehold estates. This question is talking about non-freehold estates, or otherwise known as leaseholds. And when I created this question bank in Claude, this one was Claude, I asked them to make all of these answers a possibility. These are all real things. And I think Claude did a pretty good job of doing this. These are all real things. These are 4 types of non-freehold estates. And I see both in my Zoom room and online, I got some different answers. So, well, no, I can't tell if that's you, if everybody online. You know what? I'll just go over it. So let's talk about these, and then we'll come back and answer the question. All right? Do. When we're oh, that's not what I wanted. This is what I wanted. Our non-freehold estates. So we know this is leases. We got 4. We have estate for years. We have a periodic tenancy, otherwise known as an estate from period to period. All the way, this is also called a estate for term. Right? You've got estate at will. Had to think about it for a minute. And you have an estate at sufferance. Let's talk about what each of them means. Sick of pink. An estate for years. An estate for years, or a term, an estate for term, means, and the reason I'm telling you this word term is important is because that's what I want you to think about. If somebody is elected to an office, we know that office is for 4 years, or it's for 2 years, or maybe it's for 1 year. Whatever you've been elected to do, if you're holding a seat in office, it's for one period of time. So if you are mayor of a town, you got elected mayor for that time period. If you're just like, well, I like being mayor, I think I'm going to stay. That's not how any of this works. If you would like to be mayor again for another time period, you have to be voted back in. At the end of your term, it is automatically over. That means there is a definite start date. I can spell that. That's terrible. Definite, DIFINITE. There's a definite start and there's a definite end. Right? If you have an estate for years, and I know the word years is confusing, but an estate for years, I like to think of an estate for term. You have a start date, you have an end date, and when the end date is over, get out. You know what else this reminds me of? Pregnancy. I've never been pregnant, thank God. But once your 9 months is over, you have got to get out. There's no, oh, do you think I could stay in another 2 months? Absolutely not. There was a start date and there's an end date. Your pregnancy does not automatically renew. So an estate for years or an estate for term means start date, end date, get out. Our periodic tenancy is when it automatically renews. Think of like mini apartment leases. You had a period. Maybe you have, you started on 1/1 and then your lease ends on 12/31. And in many apartments, let's say this was 2025. Unless you tell your apartment that you're leaving, they're going to go, okay, well, now you have a lease from 1/1 to 12/31 in 2026. And if you don't tell them that you're leaving, then you're going to have an apartment from 1/1 or leased until 12/31 in 2027. This thing automatically renews until either the tenant says, I'm done, I don't want to do another year, or the landlord says, I'm not renewing your lease this year. It's from period to period. This is a period, and this is a period, and this is a period. So it automatically goes to a new period, and our state for term is just one period, just one time period. Periodic tenancy, it is from period to period to period. It automatically renews. An estate at will is like your friends and family coming to visit. There's no real start date. There's no real end date. Like I lived with my brother for 8 years because bless my heart, I'm an idiot. hmm So he was like, I'll be there someday this week. And then he stayed for 8 years and then he left. There was no actual beginning date or end date that was in writing that was agreed upon. He paid rent, but he kind of stayed. It was all kind of loosey goosey. At any time, I could have been like, get out. And at any time, he could have been like, I'm leaving. And that's what he did. So that is an estate at will. And our last estate, our estate at sufferance, think of this as the after estate. What it means is somebody was living in the house. They had a lease. It was either an estate for years, an estate from period to period, or an estate at will. And at some point, all three of these could end. At some point, they end, and you're supposed to get out. It's like the house said, get out. You're supposed to leave when your lease is over. And if the person's like, no, that's when you have an estate at sufferance. The landlord is suffering. That's a you. They're suffering through that person still getting to stay there. Because in all the states, I don't know of any state where this is not true, but in most states, I'll go with mostly all the states, in order to kick that tenant out, you need to go to court. You need a judicial eviction. You have to wait to tell this tenant get out officially by the courts. So while their lease is ended, and then you're trying to wait for the court date to kick them out, they have an estate at sufferance. And remember, the definition of the word estate is the right to live somewhere. So that tenant who should have left has the right to stay there until the judge tells them to get out. So having said all that, now we can go back to number 47. What type of estate automatically renews for successive periods until terminated by proper notice? Estate for years? Nope. That's not the one because we know that one, that is just for one term. You got to get out, right? Periodic tenancy, that, okay, period to period, we know that automatically, these goes together. A tenancy at will, well, there's nothing to renew automatically because there's no end or start date. And then a tenancy at sufferance is if you stayed over. So it is B, periodic tenancy. If you got that right, you know, do a little dance, do a little dance. All right, Mariel, you said on question 46, which policy date are they referring to? Policy date are they referring to? I think, Mariel, are you talking about 46 or 47? If you're talking about title insurance, there's only really one date. Like title insurance starts the day that you buy the house and you pay your title insurance policy, and it's forever unless you sell the house or you decide to terminate it and like go with somebody else or get a higher policy. So there wouldn't be a date for that insurance. But I wasn't sure. Okay, you're just checking on that one. Great. Oh, I see you, Caroline, doing a little dance, giving me a little B. I see that. Uh-huh. And I see all y'all on the YouTube channel giving me the right answer. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. All right. 48. An FHA loan. Ah, MacDeal, this is calling your name. I know you got this. An FHA loan differs from a conventional loan primarily because why? An FHA loan differs from a conventional loan primarily because A, it requires no down payment. B, it is insured by the federal government. C, it has no loan limits. Or D, it cannot be used for primary residences. What do we think? Anybody got an answer? All right, Caroline, I think you're giving me a B. Marilla, you're giving me a B. MacDeal, you're giving me a B. Anybody else? Anybody else? Anybody? Everybody? Ooh, hey, Nate. Hey, Crystal. All right, Nate's giving me a B. And yes, our answer is B. You know what? People who are in my evening class, your job is to remind me tomorrow. I have to go through this list and make sure all the answers aren't B. They haven't all been B, but a lot of them are B. And I can tell Claude to go in and just rearrange it so we have less Bs. I mean, there's a lot of B's. It's not always B, but it's enough that I think for the next, 150 so Ash questions, let's not make it all B. But yes, our answer is B. But here's my question to you. Do you know off the top of your head which loan doesn't usually require a down payment? It's not never requires a down payment. See, oh, you are studying. Look, I do appreciate y'all studying. I do. And yes, this would be the VA loan. I see y'all. Whoop, whoop. It has no loan limits. I don't know of anybody that has no loan limits, but we do know FHA does have loan limits. Each year it changes and it depends on where the house is. And D, it cannot be used for primary residences. Well, no, that's not true. That's not true at all. It's for primary residences, duh. So there you go. And I am proud of y'all. I see you studying. I see you. I acknowledge it. Very good. Question 49. When a licensee breaches fiduciary duties to a client, the client may seek what? When a licensee breaches fiduciary duties to a client, the client may seek A, criminal prosecution only, B, rescission of the contract and or damages, C, automatic title transfer, or D, foreclosure on the licensee's property. Now, I'm hoping, okay, Caroline, I see that word again. I see you with the again. Yeah, 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 guys. Of course, our answer is B again. I mean, it is AI. And you know what I've learned from this is I need to write in my prompt, make sure the answer choices are the correct answers are I'm sure there's a word for it. It's the word. But I don't want it to be B so much. It's going to be different answers. It should not be seriously all one answer. Sure. So, we'll work on that. Now, does everybody understand after our discussion by damages they mean money? You could be paid money and I mean, they could end the contract. That's what rescission end and then go back to where you started. I mean, it's the only part here that kills A. What do we transfer title? Like what? You didn't the agency agreement didn't give you title, and nor can you take foreclosure on the licensee's property. So that's not a thing either. But curious. All right, number 50. You'll just have to remember this is 50. The difference between market value and market price is that, y'all, this is another one. This is one you need to know. This is a really important concept. The difference between market value and market price is it that market value is the actual amount paid in the transaction? Is it that market value is an opinion of worth under specific conditions? Is it C, market value always equals the listing price? Or is it D, is determined by the seller alone? Ooh. Do 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 do. Are you all saying B just because it's B? Are you all now giving me B answers because the answer is always B? I mean, you're not wrong for doing that. I mean, it did lead you to the right answer choice this time. Hey, Claude, this was a fail. This is a fail, Claude. I'm going to work on it. And you all in my night class are going to remember remember to tell me to do this. And then my weekend class, you need to make sure that I follow up. Because, But yes, unsurprisingly, it is B. It is an opinion worth under specific conditions. So let's talk about this because this is a really big, important topic. Market value. Wait a minute. Yeah, we're right. Yep. Market value. We know that the value is found by the appraiser. So if a seller gets a house appraised before they put it on the market, that is the appraiser saying, in my personal professional opinion, here's what I think somebody will be willing to pay for the house. So maybe McDeal is putting his house on the market. He could hire an appraiser and that appraiser could come back and say, hey, sir, your house is worth $650,000. So he puts the house on the market. But it's gonna be Juana in in the YouTube room, she's gonna buy it, but she's like, look, I'm gonna buy this for $625,000. It doesn't matter what the appraiser said. If the most he can get for his house is $625, that is the market saying, your house is worth $625. The appraiser can say $650 all day. That's the value. It's an opinion. Price is what somebody actually paid for the home. So important for you to get this. Okay. Hopefully no questions on that, but you can always ask. You can always ask. All right. Next question. After I take a sip of water. A VA loan benefit that allows eligible veterans to purchase a home without a down payment is a result of what? A VA loan benefit that allows eligible veterans to purchase a home without a down payment is the result of, is it A, FHA insurance, B, a VA guarantee, C, PMI coverage, or D, conventional financing? I see you all LOLing at me. I see you all in my Zoom room laughing at me. It's not my fault. I should have noticed. It's not my fault. It bees in the trap. Bees in the trap. It bees in the trap. Bees in the trap. I mean, yeah, this is a trap. This be a trap. It's a trap, y'all. Claude got us in that trap. Right? Uh-huh. If you haven't guessed it, our answer is B. Okay. I promise you, your class exams, your state exams, the answer will not all be B. But maybe this is a sign that if you ever get to a question and you don't know the answer, you should be like, you know what? A lot of people say it's B. a lot of people, let's just go with B. Some people say C, but let's just say B. That's your sign. You said, let's play the song. You're saying my version of it, bees in the trap. Bees in the trap. Is not good? Is that what you're saying, McDeal? Is that really? Really? Okay. Right. All right. Yes. We know that if it's a VA loan that we've got this guarantee. FHA, if it's an FHA loan, you're just getting insurance. And both of these come from the bank. The bank gives the money. It's just that the government guarantees if it's a VA loan, and FHA provides the mortgage insurance premium or mortgage insurance if it is for, FHA loan. PMI, we know would be for conventional loans. And of course, conventional financing is not going to be, you don't get that no down payment. And again, it's not a promise of no down payment. The VA loan, remember, the vet will be given the certificate of eligibility that says, hey, we'll guarantee up until, I don't know, $250,000. That's the max. If you buy a house that's 600,000, they're probably going to make you put down a down payment because they could lose money. But if you buy a house that's up to 250,000, you might not have to put a down payment down because they're like, look, even if you don't pay, we still get every penny of our 250 back. Great. All right, 52. The fiduciary duty of disclosure requires an agent to. The fiduciary duty of disclosure requires an agent to A, keep all information confidential. B, reveal all material facts that could affect the client's decision. C, disclose the agent's commission to third parties. Or D, provide legal advice when requested. Okay. It's not my fault. It's really not my fault. I take full blame for this. I really, really, truly do. We're going to do number 50. We'll stop at 54. We'll stop at 53. And then maybe I'll do some math or something. So we already know the answer is B, because Claude apparently does not understand that. Wouldn't that be mean? What if you had a teacher or a school or even the state gave you a test and all the answers were B? That would just be cruel. But yes, it is the duty to disclose all material facts. Now, let's be clear. When we're talking about your fiduciary duties, you have to disclose more than material facts. You've got to disclose anything about that transaction. You owe them the knowledge about everything that's going on with that transaction so they can make a good, sound decision. Right? Disclosure of all information. Just like if you have an attorney and people are telling that attorney stuff on your behalf, you kind of need to know so you can say, okay, this is how I want you to proceed, attorney. It's disclosure of all information. Right? All right, let's keep on going. Oh, yeah, I think you're good on that one. Let's do 53 and then we'll do some math. Which of the following would most likely cause external obsolescence? Again, this is appraisal stuff. Which of the following would most likely cause external obsolescence? Is it A, outdated kitchen appliances, B, a leaking roof, C, a new factory built adjacent to a residential property, or D, an undersized garage? Which one is it? Nate, Cavani, McGill, y'all are all saying B, B, B. All right, okay, B. Bees in the trap, bees in the trap. Get bees in the trap, bees in the trap. So is our answer B, yet again, a leaking roof? What do we think here? Is it a leaking roof? And I have to go, no, it is actually not a leaking roof. Womp, womp. Nice try. Ooh, Stacy knew it. Stacy knew the answer. Stacy said, I got this one, y'all. I know the answer. Stacy said, our answer is, where is it? I got to find it. I wasn't ready. Our answer is actually, where is it?
Okay.
Terrence.
I was gonna say external, isn't that like, oh, I can't remember the name of it, but it's outside of the property, right?
Yes. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about this because obviously we need to. So do you remember where was it? Where did I have it? Doop doop doo. Oh, I didn't have it here.
Economic, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. So you have the cost approach, right? We know that one of the approaches to figuring out what the value is, that appraiser could have either said, "Oh, it's the sales comparison approach. Oh, it's the cost approach," or I should use the cost approach. I can use the income approach. If they're doing the cost approach, what they're doing is they're saying how much to build it new, right? How much money to build it new, and then we got to subtract out or depreciate it. And then you would have the current value. Well, when we talk about it of depreciating, there's three things that appraiser can look at in order to say, okay, we're losing value. It could be physical deterioration. It could be functional obsolescence, or it could be external, otherwise known as exterior or economic obsolescence. Those are your three options. Well, physical deterioration is what it sounds like. The property is in not good physical shape. Like, you know what? I always teach this as, and so people that are going to have this class with me tomorrow, I'm going to say it tomorrow too. Think of a used car. Right? If you take your used car because you want to trade it in to CarMax and there's a dent in the side and the paint is terrible and I don't know, you're missing a headlight. That is physical deterioration. The appraiser saying, "Hey, your house, there's a crack in the foundation. The windows are hanging sideways." I don't know, but when it has to do with the physical condition, they're going to take money off on the value because of that condition. And it could either be curable or incurable, something the homeowner could fix or something the homeowner can't fix. Right? If it's functional obsolescence, it's all about the function. If you have a car that you're trading into CarMax and it doesn't have Bluetooth capabilities, it doesn't have a CD player, it's got a cassette player only. How many people still have cassettes? Functionally, it's obsolete. Functionally, you need something that's more up to date. Now, if we put that in the context of a house, what if you're selling a house that's got 4 bedrooms and 1 bath? 4 bedrooms and 1 bath. I need to whoop-a-doop-a-doo. I think there we go. Sorry. So my people in on YouTube, you couldn't see what I was writing out. That was my fault. But functional obsolescence is about the function. It's about, hey, does somebody want it? Like a 4 bedroom, 1 bath does not sound like fun. Unless it's just me. But then I got to share my bath with guests. I don't actually think so. And then external or economic obsolescence is when there's something outside of the property. So this says exterior, you can't tell. But when there's something outside of the property that's causing a problem, maybe you live near a volcano. You, as the homeowner, can't do anything about the volcano. So we're going to take money off because nobody wants to live near a volcano. Not that close. Even if it is inactive now, who knows? Isn't it Mount Vesuvius that exploded? I think that some coming out of my head somewhere. But yeah, there's going to be a loss because maybe you're right behind a highway. You're right next to a highway, there's a lot of noise. Maybe you're next to a dog food mill and it smells like icky dog food. Like there's all sorts of things like that going on. Like, yeah, that's exterior. So going back here, we've got which of the following would most likely cause external obsolescence? External, economic, exterior. We know that's going to be something that is not about the house itself. So that means our answer is not an outdated kitchen appliance because that's the function. We could fix that. That'd be curable. A leaking roof? Nope, we can cure that. That's about the physical condition. A new factory built adjacent to a residential property. It's adjacent to the residential property. We can't fix that. And then D, an undersized garage. Well, that again would be probably function. So our answer in this would be C. Gotcha. Claude, gotcha. It's not B this time. It is C. All right, let's do one more. I'm going to go ahead and jump to 55 just because it's math and who knows, maybe the answer is B, maybe it's not, but let's do it. Question 55. A loan of $180,000 at 5.5% annual interest results in what monthly interest amount? A loan of $180,000 at 5.5% annual interest results in what monthly interest amount? Well, we know that interest, if you take your annual interest, it's not what I wanted to say, boop, boop. If you take your loan amount or the balance of your loan and you multiply it by the annual interest rate, you'll get an amount of annual interest. And since this is annual interest, we could take that and then divide it by 12. All right, so if it's a loan of $180,000, I'm going to multiply it by that 5.5% annual interest to get an amount of annual interest. Handy dandy calculator. 180,000 times 5.5%. That's going to be $9,900. And look, that is answer B, but it's not right because this is annual and it's asking us monthly. So what do we need to do with that number? If that's annual, we got to divide it by 12. And that's going to give us an answer of 825, making A our actual correct answer. Once again, Claude got us. I mean, he was just like B, 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 B. No problem, Caroline. I hope you watched the Reddit thing on my video, my channel as well. So guys, that's it. I am going to do my best to not be, oh good, I hope you like that too, to make sure that I format these so we can have more space. If you're in my night class, I'll see you tomorrow night. If you're in my weekend class, I'll see you on Saturday. And if you are not in either, I'll see you on Sunday, guys. Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern. You're so very welcome, everybody. And I'll see you next time. Bye.